All right, well, let's see. Tonight we've got charting templates, how to set it and forget it. And our presenter is Bennett McDowell. Bennett is the founder of TradersCoach.com way back in 1998. He's an expert in technical analysis, money management, Elliott wave techniques, and more. He has also written a number of best-selling books. And without further ado, Bennett, I will turn it over to you.
All right, Gene, thanks so much. Great to be here, everybody. And as Gene said, tonight's topic is going to be kind of interesting and new. This is something we really haven't talked about that much, and it's about charting templates, how to set it and forget it. And basically, the purpose of templates, of course, is to simplify your life when you get on the charting platform. So we're going to cover that for both Ninja and TradeStation specifically, but even if you're using another platform, you're going to want to pay attention because basically it's all the same stuff. All right, so let's move on here. I got to, of course, talk to you a little bit about the risks involved in trading. And I think we all know that there are risks involved. But for those of you that are new here tonight, first of all, welcome. And realize that, trading is all in a realm of probabilities. Nothing's guaranteed, nothing's 100%. That's why we use risk control. And of course, we trade with capital we can afford to risk in the first place, called risk capital. And also to check with your financial advisor, accountant, or attorney before actually implementing any of the ideas or trades we may suggest when we have a webinar like this, because we don't know your personal financial situation and they do. So it's always important to speak with somebody to make sure something is suitable for you before you go forward. All right, so these are some of the points that we're going to cover today when we talk about templates. And I'm just going to go over these. Eventually, we're going to get to the actual platforms and talk about those, but I just want to go over some of the points here. All right, so I want to share with you some easy ways to create templates on any charting platform and how to automatically load all your studies every time with one click. And that's going to be talking about not only creating studies or templates that you can manually load, but also setting them up so they're automatic. So when you open a new chart, those studies appear every time. You can create tons of templates. You can change the background. So we're going to talk about that and more. And you don't want to, the purpose of templates is that if you have a chart and you're looking at 5 or 6 studies, you don't want to be loading 5 or 6 studies every time you open the chart, right? You want to automate that. So that's what this is all about. Your favorite template you can create as a default. So whenever you open it up, it will show. And basically templates, I find, really simplify your trading life a lot. A couple things overall to know about. For example, if you have TradeStation, if you have NinjaTrader, any of the compatible trading programs that we offer, you're going to have, when you open up that platform, you're going to usually open up to what they call a desktop. So it will automatically open up. In that desktop, there may be tabs, and those tabs are generically known as workspaces, depending on the platform. And the workspaces are a place where they house the charts or any windows you open associated with that workspace. And they're usually represented by tabs in the desktop. Now, for example, in NinjaTrader, you may open up a desktop and not have a specific workplace, but there's tabs in there. So all those tabs are kind of like what I call workspaces. In TradeStation, they actually call them workspaces and desktops. And then once you have charts or these workspaces open, and the workspaces can contain charts, scanners, then we talk about what we want to see when we look at a chart. In other words, what studies do we want to see? And this is where we get into templates. And TradeStation calls templates groups. So they're called groups in some charting platform and just the word templates, but they're the same thing. And so basically they're going to load your selected studies onto the chart. And then you can you can create a template and it can sit there for when you need it. And then if you open up a chart, you can actually load that template manually, or it can be loaded automatically. Every time you open up a new chart, you can set that template that's your favorite one as your default. So those are two things that you can do. And if you have more than one template or one group, you may have one that's a favorite, But also too, you may be looking at something and want to change the template to another one to briefly see what's going on with those studies that you have in that template. So templates can be really useful and a quick way to change studies on a chart or on a scanner. So now I want to actually go to the charting platform. And I'm going to start with NinjaTrader, but I also have TradeStation available today as well. All right, so we got both platforms up and running. So if you're a TradeStation user, we'll get to that. Now, if you're using eSignal, same type of thing. You can create templates there. So I'm going to cover NinjaTrader first, and then I'm going to go to TradeStation. All right, let's focus first on the charts. So what I'm going to do here is just walk you through how to do it. And in order to do that, I'm going to open this chart up big, and then I'm going to remove all the actual indicators that I have here. So let's go into the indicators here, and we're just going to remove them all. Another part of getting around your charting platform is try to understand the basics. A lot of people want to jump in and start trading without really understanding how the charting platform really works. So the first step, if you're new, give yourself a little time, be patient with yourself, and study some of the manuals that either come with the platform, a lot of them are online, of course, and then get a good feel for the basics on how to get around the platform. How do you bring up a chart? How do you bring up a scanner and things like that? So for today's purposes, I'm going to assume you know how to do that because that's pretty basic. So if you bring up a chart and you want to load indicators, you right click on the chart and you go to indicators, which is right here. Click on that. That's going to open up the indicator window. Now in NinjaTrader, and I'm going to go over TradeStation in just a moment, but NinjaTrader, all the available indicators are here. If you want to see them on the chart, you got to bring them down here. Okay, so that's step one. So that's the first thing. Now, if you loaded the art software and you ran the installer, then the next time you open up Ninja, you're going to see things like the art software here. And by the way, when you run the installer for our software, it loads all the software we have except for the risk control software. So all the charting software and all the scanners are loaded with one installer. That way, if you add on, all we have to do is send you a key instead of having to do an entirely new installation process. So you're only going to be able to load that software from us that you have a key, or else it won't work, right? All right, so that's pretty basic. All right, so let's say I want to set this up for the first time. I'm going to pretend here I don't have a template. So let me load it first time. So I'm going to select each one of the studies that I want to have on the chart. So I'm going to do all the art software, and that consists of 3 studies. And the nice thing is you only have to do this once. Then I'm going to put the owl on here. So I got to go down here. They're all in alphabetical order. And I like to add them in the way in which I see them on the chart. Then I got the PTF. All right, then the next one I like to add on is the TLM. And then I'm going to go back up to, not everybody has this, but we have the ERI up here, which is our greed and fear index. All right, so basically, that's all the studies. Let's count how many there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now, what a task that would be if we had to do this every time we opened up a chart, right? You don't want to do that. It's too many studies. So instead, you load them once. Now, the next thing you want to do is you want to go into each study and make sure it's set up the way you want it to be, okay? So that's looking okay. Font sizes on the pyramids look okay. So everything is looking pretty good there. All right, and the reversals, everything's looking pretty good there. Voices, all that kind of stuff. The owl, all right, let's take a look here. All right, you can set it up maximum bars back infinite. So anyway, you want to go through each one of these so you have it set up exactly the way you want it. All right, and then click OK. And there they are, there they load. Now in Ninja, go ahead and move these bottom indicators to the proper size as you want to. In TradeStation, it doesn't matter because the template, last I looked, didn't hold the size of the indicators at the bottom. So you manually have to redo that. So there's that. All right, so now the next thing you want to do is create a template. So then you want to save the template of everything you loaded. And so that would be something like I would do here. I already called it ArtOwl PTF TLM. So you highlight that, and if it's not there, you can type in whatever name you want to in there. So whatever name you want to call the template, that's what you can call it. And then the next time you come back, you can just hit that and you can load the template right then and there. All right, just like that. When you do the template, you want to make sure you've got the color background of the chart you want. You want to make sure you have everything set up the way you want it. Okay, that's really important. So when you save that template, if you want to have open, high, and low price bars, make sure they're there instead of candlesticks and vice versa. So whatever you load, it will load it up there. So if we go to this template that I've loaded previously, it's right here. If I just want to load the ArtOwl PTF, I created one from there. And then you see this one that says default. In Ninja, whenever you load the template and you're happy with it, if this is the template you want to see when you open Ninja again, you come down here, go to templates, and save it as the default. And it will save whatever you see on your chart. So the next time the chart automatically opens, that will automatically appear just like it looks now, and you won't have to manually do it. Once you create the template, don't forget, if you want it to auto load, you have to select it as the default in NinjaTrader. The other templates that we can talk about are the ones in the scanner. Now, here's the scanner set up just the way I like it. I happen to have all three scanners. You may or may not have all three, but if you do, okay, you can load them up. And these templates on the scanners for our software are a little different in that when you install the software, we give you templates pre-confirmed called the Trade Confirmer, the Turber, and the Elliott Wave. However, whenever you, for example, if I were to choose the Elliott Wave now, this is what would happen. It would replace the current scanner with my Elliott Wave, just my Elliott Wave, okay, which is what's happening now. So it erases everything else. So if you're going to have all three scanners showing up at once, you need to load them individually. And what I normally do is I usually load the Trade Confirmer as the primary one because that has the most columns and the most settings. So I like to load that one first. And then I like to add on not the template for the Elliott Wave, but the indicators individually. All right. And so what I do here is I come up here and I go to columns. Now, NinjaTrader is a little different than TradeStation or some of the other platforms because instead of calling it indicators, they call it columns when they get to the Market Analyzer scanner. So the Market Analyzer is a scanner. That's the scanner that we have programmed our scanners for. So you got to go to the columns. That's the indicators. And what that's going to do is bring up a window very similar to what you saw on the charts, right? Where up here is all the possibilities, and down here is what we're actually using in the scanner. All right, and then you use these buttons here below here to actually add ones from here to here, or remove them, or move them up and down in here. It's pretty easy to do, and it's pretty well thought out once you play around with it. And then each scanner here will have a whole bunch of settings, and we have pre-programmed these to be the right settings. So that's the way you would want to load that. Then you would want to come here and you would want to load the Elliott Wave. Remember, you don't want to use the template that was created already. You just want to load that down here and load that twice, because one's going to be for wave 3, and then change the name here to 3. And this one's going to be for 5, so you want to make sure you change the name for 5 there in here. Anyway, I think you get the hang of it. And so the idea is once you get all the software that you purchased in the scanner set up, then right-click again, go to templates, and then save as. And what I do is I call those TC scans. And I usually, the default is daily, so you want to set the first one up as a daily scan, and then you can adjust the times and set those up to different times as well. And then you want to save the one you like the best as the default. So for example, in this one here, I'm going to go ahead and load a template, and I'm going to load the TC scans, which is a daily time frame. So that will put all the trade confirmer, the Elliott wave, and the turbo scanner. And I also like to add in my scans the description, notes, and last prices. So every time I make that automatic, so every time I load a template, it loads those. It loads all those columns. And that's why they call it, I guess, columns versus indicators, okay? So that's kind of the idea behind that. So you can also have on NinjaTrader, you can also have, if I go to columns here, you can also have a situation where if you control the time frame by actually going into the indicators at the bottom. This is different than TradeStation. So for example, these are scanning dailies, right? All right, here they are here. But you could also have scanners scanning different time frames, and you can save those templates for the different time frames. So if I go here and go to templates instead and go to load, all right, you'll see some of my scanners are called TC scans 1 minute because I've set up all the indicators in the scanner for a 1 minute time frame instead of a daily. And it just makes getting around a lot easier. That is NinjaTrader. I'm about to go to TradeStation. So let's go to TradeStation here. Now, on TradeStation, you basically, it's very similar, it's just the terminology is a little different. So if you right click on the chart, you have to go to studies first, and then they have individual studies, and then they have groups. So they use the word groups, but not templates. So that's a distinction you have to know for everybody using TradeStation, okay? So if you go into edit a study group, it will bring up a study group window. Let me just bring that over here. And so these are some that they give you pre-configured, and then I created my own for ART, AL, PTF, and TLM, and I'll show you how to do that as well, all set to go. And then I basically will show you what to do with that. So when you go to your studies and you add a study, it will bring up the add a study window. So you would load your charts through this just like I did with NinjaTrader. Get everything on there that you want. Adjust the chart colors and everything the way you want. And then you want to save the study group here by naming it up here. So you create a name for it here. And here is where you choose it as a default. So there's not the word default in TradeStation. Instead, they give you a checkbox where it says automatically add on a new chart. It will automatically add everything that's in here in the group. So here is what is currently going to load on a chart under the name I save here. And if I make it automatic, all these indicators or all these studies will load whenever I load a chart automatically. And every charting platform has this capability. Maybe a little different, but it's the same idea. Now on the scanner up top in TradeStation, the scanner is called RadarScreen. And you right click on this, you always have to go to studies first, and notice they have a study group. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is there's no word columns up here. All right, so if you want to add a study, you click on that button, and there comes the add a study window. And so basically you're going to move all the available studies here using this add button over to here. And you can move them up or down depending on where you want them to go this way. And then click OK. And it will basically, those are the ones that will show up on the scanner. And then if you want to create a template for that, you go again to studies first, save the study group, and name it. Okay, then here's all the ones that we're saving. And now this is interesting. If you want to add a new RadarScreen automatically as a default, then you click that and click OK. All right, and so that's how you make it a default here. And so you can add notes, you can add anything you want that makes your life easier and automate it. So it's always there for you. The only thing I would recommend, for example, I have a black background here, but if you want a white background, set it up so your background is white. Make sure you got the right colors before saving the template. That way it's kind of looks the way you want it to look on the background that you want to save it on. So I don't want to make this too complex, but I do want to make sure everybody understands how to do it and the benefits of it. The other thing too that's kind of helpful on some of these platforms, so if we go back to Ninja, for example, one of the things, if you go to templates and save as, you can create the name of the template and also save the instruments you load. Because don't forget, when you're saving the indicators, you're just saving the indicators. You're not loading the symbols in there for it to scan. So you still have to load the symbols. And then once you get the symbols in there, let's say you want to scan for futures. Well, you may want to go ahead and create a separate scanner and call it TC scans for futures. Okay, like I have right here. Let me just, I got so many lines up here, right here. Okay, so when I do that, then I save the symbols, and that way when I load that scanner, it's going to load all the futures. And then of course, if you want to load the futures for day charts, you can do that, or intraday 1 minute charts, 5 minute charts, whatever you want to do, and it will load everything for you. James is saying this is a bit off topic, but could you remind me how to turn off voices? What platform? TradeStation. All right, let me bring that up. All right, so right click on the chart, go to studies, and then go to edit studies. The only two studies that generate voices are the art reversals, which is here, and the pyramids. So those are the only two you have to worry about. The rest don't have voice technology. So let's just go into the pyramids, okay? You go to customize, all right, inputs. Now, I have in the form the exact wording, but here it is right here because I have them off. All right, under sound, you have to put in quotations. You got to have to use the quotations, OFF, so in quotes. And then same thing with the voice. See the voice? So there's two settings in here, sound and voice. They both go to the off area for the pyramids because it's a little different in the reversals. So that's why I want you to pay attention. So in the pyramids, write that down, select both of those to in quotes off, okay? Now let's cancel out of here and go into the reversals and then go to custom, go to inputs. Now, don't ask me why they've programmed it this way, but they did. So we just want to make sure you're paying attention, I guess. So in sound, type in the word false, F-A-L-S-E, and under voice, then you use the word off in quotes. I have no idea at the time why they didn't just make them both OFF, but usually when I ask that question, the programmer says because TradeStation doesn't allow it. So that could certainly be the answer. So just make sure you do it that way. So there are reversals in the pyramids, teeny bit different, but basically generically the same. Good, thank you. Because I'm sure if you have that question, other people have it too. Sean, how do we change the size of the letters in TS? There's two settings actually I think you may be referring to. Probably the 1B and the 2B, and also maybe the size of the balls. Okay, so let me go into here, go into studies, go into edit studies. That brings up this window. And let's go into reversals, go into customize, and go under style. Right here controls the size of these little balls here. Let me show you. Sometimes when you install them, they may your TradeStation may be set up for a default here. See how big they got? Now you may like that. I don't know. That's okay. Set them however you like. Now remember, if you like them big and you change them, but you don't change you don't resave the template, then the next time you load the template, they're going to be small or whatever size they were before. So every time you make a change on your chart like this, make sure you resave the template. Just overwrite it. So if we go back to customize and go into this area here, we reset that here and click OK, then they'll go back down to the size I like. All right, but everybody's different. Paul's asking what TradeStation platform. I just downloaded it today, so it's 10, whatever the fancy one is that they have. The old one, they have a legacy one, I think, so that was 9.5. Now, just so you know, also on 10 here, if you take your cursor and you go over the price bar and right-click, it changes it to a hand, and that's how you drag the charts all around. That took me about an hour to figure out, because it used to be able to right-click on 9.5, go down to dragging, cursor dragging, and you do it. But on this one, it's actually pretty good once you know how to do it. But you got to put your cursor over here, left click, actually not right click, left click, and then you can move it all around like that. Let's see, general question regarding our server. I've heard you say that you ignore MP pyramids when the software shows a possible pyramid is forming yellow. How do you determine if it's going to be an MP or a P? Good question. All right, so I'll play a professor here. All right, let's say we can bring up my whiteboard. Let's say we got an uptrend coming in place here. So we're going to get a pyramid here. Forget history here. Let's just say it was flat, popped up. Comes down here, and we get a situation where we get something like this, and it moves back up, and we get a pyramid form here. That is going to be, at this particular point, an MP. And the reason for it is the apex here is still above the stop here. So if this market came down and went like this and then formed one here, then this would be a new P in the opposite direction. So an MP will always be in the opposite direction of the P, and the next pyramid that forms has to have the apex below the P, like in this example here. So that's how they work. All right, I'm just going through questions here to see if I missed anything. I think, all right, so is everybody good on templates now? They're really important, and you can actually create a lot of really cool and quick changes in the way in which you apply studies with them.
Well, good questions tonight, Ben, huh?
Yeah, really good. Great participation. Good topic.
Yeah, and I tell you, I'm on the phone with clients all the time where Mark will install everything and then the client is upset because they accidentally erased their templates. So this is nice to be able to refer to.
Well, that's a good point. I didn't bring that up, and that's a good point because, it's very easy to hit the wrong X button. I'm sure we all can relate to that, and delete a scanner or a chart when we really meant to just close the program, right?
Yeah.
And then once that's gone, it's gone. So then the nice thing about having a template, you can just bring it back up and you're set. All right, so Gene, I'll turn it back over to you to wrap up. Thanks, everybody.
Serving traders worldwide since 1998, TradersCoach.com provides educational services for traders and investors. We've developed trading software to help traders of every level improve their skills. Our site is dedicated to providing you with all the resources, software, and educational material you need to achieve your trading goals. It's because of our years of experience, attention to detail, and exceptional customer service that we're the right choice. Call us today.